Chapter 435. Whoosh! Above the clouds, everyone turned to look at the giant eye in the sky. This was the Dao Heaven sect, and Zhou Xuanji was the divine cliff's treasure. Who would dare to come here to kill him? Zhou Xuanji also looked over. It was not the first time he had seen such large eyes, but he still could not recognize them. To dare to rush here to kill him, it was definitely not due to jealousy. There should really be a grudge between them. But in Zhou Xuanji's eyes, apart from the Heavenly Hall and Xiao Hongjun, who else could he have enmity with? There was another possibility. That was Divine Lord Ji. However, emissary Li Qing had once told him that Divine Lord Ji was extremely mysterious and never showed himself. The world only knew his name but never saw him. Divine Cliff, this kid carries too much sin. If you really want to protect him, then you'll be making an enemy out of the Center God Province. The pair of huge eyes stared at emissary Li Qing and shouted in a deep voice. Hearing this, the various sects above the cloud sea were all amazed. Become enemies with the Center God Province? Who the hell are you? Such arrogance. Zhou Xuanji and emissary Li Qing were speechless. Was this person brainless? The surrounding ascenders all retreated far away from Zhou Xuanji. Bang! A bolt of lightning suddenly came from the horizon, intending to shatter Zhou Xuanji's soul. Emissary Li Qing quickly struck out with his palm, and a giant green palm appeared out of thin air. It was like a mountain that stood in front of the two of them, blocking Ji Lei. Lightning coiled around the giant green palm, causing cracks to appear all over the surface of the palm, and it instantly collapsed. Emissary Li Qing's expression changed drastically as the lightning was about to strike. A cool breeze blew past, blowing away the lightning. The huge eye on the horizon dissipated, and a towering black shadow suddenly appeared at the edge of the mysterious tribulation crater. There were also similar black shadows in other directions, and there were a total of 23 of them. They were like black pillars that supported the heavens and the earth, causing the people from various forces to be terrified. Who are they? What a strong aura. It's at least a real god or even stronger. Zhou Xuanji made so many enemies? They are afraid that Zhou Xuanji will grow up. After all, this guy is a first-class great emperor. If he grows up, he will affect many things and benefits. Now Zhou Xuanji is dead for sure. Even if Han Shuzi is here, he might not be able to protect him. 23 mysterious powerful cultivators stood at the edge of the mysterious tribulation crater. Zhou Xuanji had no way to escape. He narrowed his eyes, anger rising in his heart. He had never provoked so many experts. An undeserved calamity. These people were definitely looking for an excuse to get rid of him. Don't let me find out that you're all dead, or I won't rest until you die. Zhou Xuanji's eyes were cold as he mumbled to himself. Emissary Li Qing didn't turn around when he heard his words. Instead, he was ready for battle. Even at this critical juncture, he did not retreat. Zhou Xuanji took out the two god-slaying legendary swords and prepared to fight. At this moment, an old voice sounded, "Sect leader of the Taichu sect, are you going to protect him?" The Taichu sect master. Dao Heaven sect master Taichu Yudao. Everyone was shocked. The relationship between the Dao Heaven sect and the Divine Cliff was not close and could only be considered average. Could it be to rope Zhou Xuanji in? Taichu Yudao's voice sounded out from the sky, his tone calm as he said, "Zhou Xuanji received a true legacy from a little friend of mine, and he can be said to be related to me. I naturally have to protect him." The moment he said this, everyone in the sky above the mysterious tribulation crater exploded. Zhou Xuanji had such a relationship with the Dao Heaven sect's sect lord? Emissary Li Qing and Li Zhangqi were also stunned. Zhou Xuanji frowned. He had obtained little friend Taichu Yudao's legacy? Wouldn't that make me his little brother? No, I'm one level lower than him. Wait, whose legacy did I obtain? Sky Sundering Sword Emperor Wang Xiaofei? Hegemon Sword Emperor? Impossible. These two people could not become sworn brothers with Taichu Yudao. He suddenly thought of the world Buddha art and Tianxia map. This art and treasure could transcend the mortal realm. Even in the Great Thousand World, they were still powerful. From the beginning to the end, he did not know who created the world Buddha art. It was said that the world Buddha art had more than 3 levels. The more he thought about it, the more he frowned. Little friend? What a joke. Taichu Yudao, do you really want to become enemies with the entire Center God Province? Another voice sounded out, filled with murderous intent. They did not act because they were wary of Taichu Yudao. Taichu Yudao's voice sounded out again, "In 10 breaths, if you do not retreat, then stay here forever." Domineering. No wonder he was once the most powerful cultivator in the Center God Province. Perhaps he might be the most powerful too. Everyone was subdued by his boldness. The 23 black figures fell into silence. Taichu Yudao's domineering attitude caught them off guard and they hesitated. Soon they disappeared one after another. The first voice sounded out again, Taichu Yudao, you can protect him now but you can't protect him forever. Your Dao Heaven sect might perish soon. Taichu Yudao did not reply, and the other sects did not take it seriously either. Who would not say something harsh? They were more concerned about the relationship between Taichu Yudao and Zhou Xuanji. Would the Dao Heaven sect ally with the Divine Cliff because of this? If these two factions worked together, they could sweep across the Center God province. The sovereign demon sect's Guanhong fell into deep thought with a dark expression. The Buddha ghost sect's people were also whispering among themselves. Emissary Li Qing heaved a sigh of relief. He turned around and asked Zhou Xuanji in astonishment, "You have such a relationship with the Dao Heaven sect?" Zhou Xuanji shook his head and said, "I don't know. It's my first time ascending." Emissary Li Qing nodded. He was not guessing that Zhou Xuanji was hiding something. Perhaps it was the good karma left by Zhou Xuanji's ancestors. Sage Yuqian looked at Zhou Xuanji with a complicated expression. His heart was filled with reluctance. He hated, not because he hated Zhou Xuanji, but because he hated himself. If he was as powerful as Taichu Yudao, he would have protected Zhou Xuanji too. Who would not want such a prodigy? The more he thought about it, the more frustrated he became. He wanted to leave immediately. Li Zhangqi said, "The Ascender examination is over. Begin to count the earth core crystals." As he spoke, the 36 Dao Heaven sect disciples flew down and inspected the geocentric flame crystal for the last person. Zhou Xuanji took out all the earth core crystals and placed them in front of him, waiting for the inspection. He was still thinking about who those people were. Emissary Li Qing saw through his thoughts and said softly, "They are probably first-rate factions in the Center God province. Those sects that came might be one of them too, such as the Sovereign Demon sect and the Buddha Ghost sect. Don't overlook them just because they are here." Zhou Xuanji nodded. He was not that foolish. The leaders of the other sects were not here after all. But why did those powerful cultivators not dare to show their faces just now? Half an hour later, the results of the Ascender examination were out. As expected, Zhou Xuanji ranked first. The second was a 7th Revolution Golden Immortal from the Buddha Ghost sect. He hid himself well and was not encountered by Zhou Xuanji. Gu Muyuan was ranked 7th. It was too late for him to plunder on the last day. Mo Yuha did not have a single earth core crystal, so he was eliminated. Other than Zhou Xuanji, the other Divine Cliff disciples did not make it into the top 10. The top 10 were brought up to the sky by the Dao Heaven sect disciples, while Li Zhangqi led the other sects away. Zhou Xuanji was looking forward to what kind of supreme treasure could help him reach 10th Revolution Golden Immortal quickly. Once he reached 7th Revolution Golden Immortal, he would be able to use the Armageddon legendary sword. Just thinking about it made him excited. Chapter 436. Under the guidance of the Dao Heaven sect disciples, Zhou Xuanji and the others came to a palace. At the same time their seniors followed them. Gu Muyuan kept staring at Zhou Xuanji as though he wanted to eat him alive. Within the palace, 3 elders of the Dao Heaven sect were waiting. They looked like they had walked out of a painting, and they had benevolent looks on their faces. Their white hair fluttered in the wind. Congratulations to the geniuses for winning the Ascender examination. Next, you will receive your rewards according to your ranking. The white-haired elder in the middle smiled and began to receive the rewards from the 10th place. Emissary Li Qing sent a telepathic message to Zhou Xuanji, "We will stay in the Dao Heaven sect for a few days and wait for the Cliff Lord to pick us up." Zhou Xuanji nodded slightly. He understood that he would surely die if he went out now. But he did not know if Han Shuzi could stop so many powerful cultivators. Soon it was Zhou Xuanji's turn. The Dao Heaven sect put the prize into the storage ring, and Zhou Xuanji swept it with his divine sense and found that there were a few small mountains of pure spirit pills. Apart from this, there was also a red pearl that was as big as a fist. It was sparkling and translucent and it looked like a fruit. He was curious about what it was but was too embarrassed to ask. "My little friend Xuanji, why don't you stay for a few days? Our sect lord wants to talk to you," the white-haired elder said with a chuckle. The white-haired elder chuckled. The 2 elders beside him also nodded at Zhou Xuanji with a smile. This kid's talent was even more ridiculous than their sect lords, so they naturally wanted to befriend him. Zhou Xuanji smiled and said, "Then I shall accept." He also wanted to meet Taichu Yudao. After that he left with Emissary Li Qing. Gu Muyuan stopped him suddenly and said with gritted teeth, "Zhou Xuanji, the next time we meet I will surely defeat you. Don't die." After that he left with the Buddha Ghost sect's true god. Zhou Xuanji had 2 chances to kill him, but he did not. This made him feel a little complicated. He decided to go into closed-door cultivation after returning. He would not come out until he broke through to Void Extreme Immortal. Zhou Xuanji did not mind, but emissary Li Qing shook his head and laughed. "It's so good to be young," he sighed in amazement. Zhou Xuanji curled his lip and said, "I'm young, but he's not." Only God knew how old Gumoyuan was. In the Taoist temple, Zhou Xuanji finally saw the famous Taichi Yudao. He entered the temple by himself while emissary Li Qing waited outside. This person was even more ordinary than he had imagined. Standing there, his aura was void, as if he had become one with heaven and earth. He did not have the aura of an expert at all. However, the more he thought about it, the more he respected Taichi Yudao. This was another kind of expert who had reached the peak. Chapter 440. 3 years later. Zhou Xuanji was 98 years old and successfully broke through to 8th Revolution Golden Immortal. At the same time, he also obtained 2 ordinary sword techniques and 5 divine swords, 4 amethyst divine swords and 1 heavenly soul divine sword. They were the Memory Sword, the Torrential Rain Sword, the Earth Attraction Sword, the Great Western Dipper Sword, and the Sunset Heavenly Sword. Zhou Xuanji was most interested in the Memory Sword. Although it was only an amethyst godly sword, its special ability was not bad. If he was stabbed by it, he would easily fall into his memories. In the midst of battle, if he could make his opponent recall their memories, it might have an unexpected effect. Zhou Xuanji somehow thought of the animations, dramas, and movies in his previous life. Whenever he started reminiscing, he was about to die. After reaching the 8th Revolution Golden Immortal Realm, he stopped. He took out the ancient god sword and summoned the 9 souls. The spiritual energy of the Tao Fetus Red Loathe Pearl hadn't been used up yet, but he felt that things were going too smoothly. If this goes on, will there be repercussions? Demon Lord Rian replied, "The Tao Fetus Red Loathe Bead cannot be considered a treasure of heaven and earth. Just like your violet demon monarch's heart, it can be considered a great fortune of heaven and earth. The Tao Heaven sect treats them as treasures, and they are only able to establish their current network of connections through these items. You don't have to worry." The 9 souls within the ancient god sword were Emperor Hanlin, Saber Monarch Donghai, Demon Lord Ryuan, Emperor Songhai, Ghost Emperor Zhangtian, Emperor Zhao, Tao Lord Shentian, Lu Wuji, and Lord Xian. The most mysterious ones, Tao Lord Shentian and Lord Xian, were still unknown. The others had all made a name for themselves in the Great Thousand World, which allowed Zhou Xuanji to understand many historical truths that no one knew about. He curiously asked, "How did the Tao Fetus Red Loathe Pearl come about?" This thing was so powerful that the 5-colored immortal fruit was nothing compared to it. Lu Wuji replied, "It was born from the Tao Fetus tree. The Tao Fetus tree has 7 colored fruits, and the Tao Fetus Red Loathe Pearl is the 3rd-grade fruit." "Only 3rd class?" Zhou Xuanji blinked and suddenly wanted to snatch the Tao embryo tree. Of course, he was just thinking about it. He was indebted to Taichi Yudao. Even if he had the power, he would not do such a thing. Zhou Xuanji chatted a bit more before putting away the ancient god sword. He sent a voice transmission to Fei Hai, who was cultivating in the mansion, and asked him to investigate Xian Xianghua's whereabouts. It had already been 6 years since she ascended. With Xian Xianghua's personality, she should have already made a name for herself. To prevent any accidents, he even mentioned Bai Hao Yisin and Xiao Hongjun. Chapter 443. Malicious Buddha said that he would wait for Shen Daoya, so he stopped. Zhou Xuanji did not know where he was and how far he was from the demonic emperor. He began to recover his magic energy. Malicious Buddha did not seal his cultivation. It seemed that this guy was really arrogant and was not afraid of him escaping. When it was close to noon, Malicious Buddha left with Zhou Xuanji. Along the way, Zhou Xuanji noticed that they did not fly very fast. This guy was still waiting for Shen Daoya. 3 days later, the two landed before a cliff. Malicious Buddha put him down and stood by the cliff without saying a word. Zhou Xuanji sat down and ignored him. An hour later. "Come out," Malicious Buddha said. "How long are you going to follow me? Are the people of the great Emperor Tao Court all scoundrels like you?" Zhou Xuanji opened his eyes. Finally. A gust of cold wind blew. The sky was cloudless and there was no one else in sight. TSK. Malicious Buddha, I didn't expect someone like you to become the demonic emperor's lackey. You said that your life is greater than the heavens and that your strength can surpass saints. What a joke. Shen Daoya's mocking laughter came, and the temperature in the surroundings plummeted. Zhou Xuanji remained calm and waited for the battle to begin. However, Emperor Zhao said that Xian Daoya was not powerful and might be suppressed by malicious Buddha. Soon Xian Daoya appeared on the opposite cliff and looked at malicious Buddha. Their eyes met, and the corner of malicious Buddha's mouth rose. Clones appeared out of nowhere and surrounded Xian Daoya. Zhou Xuanji always felt that these clones were alive, like malicious Buddha's twin brothers. Of course this was nonsense. How could malicious Buddha's mother give birth to so many at once? Or maybe she was not human. Zhou Xuanji's imagination ran wild and made malicious guesses about malicious Buddha. Malicious Buddha laughed coldly and said, "Xian Daoya, I advise you to leave the great Emperor Dao court. You work so hard for them but they never help you recover your body. You are not even recognized by the heavenly law. Why do you need to work so hard?" "You just don't understand," Xian Daoya said calmly. Malicious Buddha pointed at Zhou Xuanji and said with a smile, "You want to possess him? Back then you treated Gu Qianxia like this. But that brat is powerful and you are asking for trouble." Zhou Xuanji frowned. "Xian Daoya wants to possess me?" He took a closer look and found that Xian Daoya's expression was indeed a bit unnatural. Xian Daoya pulled out a spine from his sleeve. It was white with many black lines. He held the long bone in his hand and waved it lightly. Black cyclones appeared out of thin air around him. Then countless skeletons rose up. There were human bones, demon bones, and even the skeletons of giants the size of mountains. A great battle was about to break out. Zhou Xuanji called out to Gu Qianxia in his mind,